homie, I'm a saint.
Unbelievers believe in this hadith, and the Atharis have to affirm this hadith. Even Ibn Taymiyyah said this hadith is sahih. He saw Allah in the form of a young man with curly hair.
But they think it's like this big man in the sky.
He saw Allah in the form of a young man with curly hair.
But they think it's like this big man in the sky.
He saw Allah in the form of a young man with curly hair.
An independent, transcendent, all-powerful being that isn't arbitrarily limited in any capacity.
I believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has two hands. Yes, I do affirm that.
That isn't arbitrarily limited in any capacity.
I believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has a yad.
So Jake, if you follow the Athari creed, fine. I want you to admit that you believe that Allah has the form of a young man who is beardless and who has curly hair.
So I mean, this goes to what you were saying earlier, Sharif, about God being a man in the sky.
He saw Allah in the form of a young man with curly hair. Even Ibn Taymiyyah said this hadith is sahih.
And that seems awfully close to what it would entail if there were more than one God, because then there would be different characteristics.
Okay, so if Allah is a man in the sky, then that basically cuts to the root of Tawheed. Okay, so then was Ibn Taymiyyah then a mushrik? I mean, logically speaking, we would have to consign good old Ibn Taymiyyah, radiallahu anhu, to hellfire.
The best explanation, or the best inference we come to on very solid rational grounding, is that this God must be not limited arbitrarily. He must be unlimited.
I believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has two hands. Yes, I do affirm that.
He must be unlimited.
He has two hands, as you said.
And so if we have this one perfect being that has these maximal attributes, that avoids this sort of sense of contingency. Anything that's not God, is it contingent? Is that the question?
Yes.
Yeah, sure.
So God includes an essence and multiple real distinct attributes, correct?
Correct.
They're not independent of God.
Okay, so therefore the attributes are contingent. So you believe the attributes are dependent on the essence, so they do not have aseity.
Or arbitrary limits that Abdu talked about.
But in the Quran, it talks a little about God's hands. How do you take that?
He has two hands.
They're attributes.
Okay, so that you wouldn't say they're like absolutely say.
No.
Because arbitrary limits are a thing through which we identify contingent beings.
I believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has two hands. Yes, I do affirm that.
These contingent beings have arbitrary limitations, and through that we look for explanations for why they are the way they are.
We stick to the text and what it says, and we don't dwell on the kayfiyah.
Look for explanations for why they are the way they are.
And we don't dwell on the kayfiyah.
Okay, thank you. Just like we can't understand the kayfiyah of Trinity. Thank you.
I go hard in the paint, yeah, homie, I'm a saint.